The historic, monolithic loyalty of Black voters to the Democratic Party is showing significant signs of fracture, particularly among younger generations. This trend is not yet a wholesale switch to the Republican Party, but rather an inflection point characterized by growing skepticism, independence, and an increased willingness to explore alternatives. Data from recent election cycles confirms a measurable decline in consistent support for Democratic candidates, alongside a rise in the percentage of young Black voters, especially men, who vote Republican, consider a third party, or opt to withhold their vote altogether. This shift is rooted in profound disillusionment with the political system's perceived failure to deliver tangible benefits, forcing a re-evaluation of the traditional political group norm established by previous generations. Reasons for the shift. The primary drivers of this political divergence are rooted in material concerns and cultural alienation, rather than ideological alignment with traditional Republican conservatism. Economic dissatisfaction and material focus. For young Black voters, issues like the cost of living, inflation, jobs that pay a living wage, and student loan debt often top their priority list. In contrast, older Black voters often rank historical issues like racial equity and healthcare higher. For many young voters, particularly those navigating a challenging economic landscape, the discourse around racial politics alone is seen as a luxury that does not address their immediate financial anxiety. They feel the political system, which they have faithfully supported, has been profoundly unresponsive to these urgent economic concerns, leading them to question the value proposition of their democratic allegiance. Cultural disillusionment and the digital narrative. A second critical factor is the role of cultural messaging and the modern media ecosystem. Many young Black men report feeling marginalized or pushed out of cultural movements championed by the political left, leading to a feeling of institutional disrespect. The MAGA, Make America Great Again, movement and its associated conservative influencers have effectively channeled this sense of grievance and rebelliousness. Operating largely through decentralized media like podcasts and social platforms, these right-leaning narratives cultivate a sense of pride, belonging, and shared status that blends cultural frustration with political action. This approach bypasses traditional media outlets, offering an alternative political narrative that appeals directly to the emotions and frustrations of a demographic seeking recognition and empowerment outside the established political frameworks. Consequences and impacts. The consequences of this shifting allegiance are significant, creating electoral volatility and forcing a strategic reckoning for the Democratic Party. Electoral instability. Even a small percentage shift in the Black vote can have outsized consequences in closely contested battleground states. When the Republican share of the Black vote climbs from 8% to 15%, it tightens margins significantly. Furthermore, disillusionment doesn't always translate into a vote for the opposition. It often manifests as lower overall turnout. Black youth already tend to vote at lower rates than other youth groups. If dissatisfaction continues, the greatest impact may be a suppression of the Democratic base, rather than a surge in Republican votes, potentially tipping elections in key swing districts. Erosion of the Democratic coalition. The most profound long-term consequence is the erosion of the Democratic Party's most reliable and steadfast voting bloc. The party can no longer rely on generational loyalty derived from the civil rights movement. This forces Democrats to invest heavily in organizing and messaging efforts that older generations historically delivered automatically. Failure to reconnect with this segment risks permanently fragmenting the party's coalition along generational and gender lines, where young Black men show the highest defection rates and young Black women remain the strongest activists. Prediction and solutions. If current conditions persist, specifically, if the Democratic Party continues to prioritize establishment politics and fails to offer dramatic, tangible economic relief, the trend of slipping alliances will continue. We will likely see the Black vote become increasingly segmented, acting less like a monolithic bloc and more like other diverse populations that vote based on issues and candidate appeal. To counteract this, Both parties must seek non-incrementalist solutions. Democrats need to field fresh candidates and craft messages that demonstrate a clear, powerful commitment to economic mobility, such as comprehensive debt relief, job creation in marginalized communities, and housing affordability. They must avoid relying solely on the rhetoric of historical injustice and instead focus on solutions for the present. For the Republican Party to sustain this growth, they must translate their cultural momentum into durable policy achievements that benefit these new voters, moving beyond symbolic gestures to address the material issues that first drove the discontent. Ultimately, the long-term political home of young Black voters will be the party that offers the most compelling and effective answer to the question, how will this system make my life better right now?